Elites, how you doing? Welcome back. It's me, your boy Wattles. Today, I've got a quick and simple villager breeder tutorial for you. This is a villager breeder that is working on Bedrock 1.16 as well as actually Java 1.16. If you follow my guide series, you very well may recognize this villager breeder. It's a really nice villager breeder. In today's video, we're going to break it down step by step. I'll leave some timestamps down in the description below. I'll also show you a way to spice this thing up a little bit at the end of the tutorial. If you enjoy the video, if it helps you out, remember to leave a like. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. Now, let's talk materials. Alright, let's check supplies. What do you need to build this farm? Well, the supplies, they're so easy to get. It's so cheap. It's honestly kind of crazy. In exact amounts, you will need 3 beds, 2 villagers, 2 trapdoors, and a composter. Now, this villager breeder is a machine. It's automatic. It'll be powered by a farmer villager. That's why we need the composter. Now, if we want villagers to breed, we need to meet a couple requirements. Requirement number 1, 2 villagers. That's pretty simple. Requirement number 2, beds. You will need at least 3 beds for 2 villagers to breed. There's a bed for each villager and then a bed for the baby villager. The villagers need to think they can reach the beds. They don't actually have to get to the beds. And then, last but not least, the weirdest one, food. But not just any food. These food types right here, and certain amounts. If you're going with carrots, potatoes, or beetroots, each villager will need to have at least 12 of these things inside of their inventory. If you're going with wheat, then each villager will need to have 3 pieces of bread inside of their inventory. Long story short, you're going to need either carrots, potatoes, beetroot, or wheat for this thing to actually run. You don't actually have to worry about harvesting, replanting, any of that. The farmer villager can handle that, but you'll have to at least get this thing started. In my opinion, I recommend using carrots because every time a carrot is harvested, you get carrots. Meanwhile, with potatoes, you can get potatoes or poisonous potatoes. Beetroot, you get beetroot and beetroot seeds. And then finally, wheat, it's wheat or seeds. But carrots, it's all carrots. Any of them will work though. Finally, in non-exact amounts, you will need these things down here. Some water sources, a hoe, light, for sure light. It could be lanterns, torches, sea lanterns, whatever you want, but you want to block mob spawns for sure. Signs, maybe, to help transport your baby villagers far away from this thing. And finally, building blocks. Whatever building blocks you'd like, but building blocks. This farm will require at least a little bit of space. I also highly recommend not putting this right next to an existing village or where villagers are. Maybe isolate this thing. First things first, find a spot for your farm. Dig out into the ground. Place a water source down. Then place a temporary block, and then right above that water source, place a composter. Remove the temporary block and put it on top of the composter. That block is no longer temporary, it needs to stay here. Otherwise, the villagers will jump on top of the composter, jump off of the composter, and ruin the cropland, which will be bad. Speaking of cropland, it's time for that. Take a hoe and dig either 3 blocks out or 4. It's totally your choice. We're gonna go with 3, keep things a little bit more compact. So till land 3 blocks out, straight in every single direction, just like this. The water in the middle will be able to hydrate all of this, or 4 if you go that way, that'll work too, and then till everything else in this area. This will be the farmland that'll provide the villagers with the food for their stuff. So now we have something that looks like this. Slowly but surely, the farmland will get hydrated. All we need to do is wait. While we wait, we'll put some walls on this thing. If you wanted to, technically, you could use fences or even wall blocks. That would work too, but I think we're gonna go with solid building blocks. When you're building these walls around this thing, the walls should be at least 2 blocks tall. You can go ahead and make them taller though, if you'd like to. We're gonna go with a 3 block high wall. On one side of your villager breeder, leave the center block open. So on this side, we're not going to put anything right there. We're going to leave that open. And then on the next layer, we're also actually going to leave that open. But on the third one, if you're going 3 high or even higher than that, you can go ahead and place blocks. Basically, we're leaving a door right here. It won't be for us though. It'll be for the villagers. While setting up these walls and then actually the ceiling right afterwards, don't forget about lighting. Remember lighting. Make sure this build is lit up nice and bright inside of this thing. No spawnable spots inside of here. If a mob were to spawn inside of here, that would be really bad. A good way to make sure everything is safe, place a bright light block on top of the composter. Maybe like a jack-o'-lantern, a sea lantern, glowstone, something like that. And then, just to be safe, I'm going to put torches on the side too. Now it's time for the roof. You can build the roof however you want. You could just go right flat across if you'd like to do things like that, or you could get a little bit more fancy. But either way, put a roof on this thing too. We're trying to make sure this thing is really safe. The next step will possibly be the trickiest step. Now, before we do anything else, we need to get 2 villagers inside of this thing. To do this easily, I would recommend finding a village that's somewhat near your villager breeder. Maybe try getting the villagers inside of boats, and then, if that village is near water, you're lucky. Jump in the boat, sail the villager all the way back to the village. If it's by land, well, you can technically sail a boat across land. It might take some time, but moving the villager into the nether and transporting it that way might be a little bit quicker. To get your villagers actually inside of the thing, if you're using boats, you might actually have to come back in here and remove some walls. If you keep your villager inside of the boat, it can't go anywhere. You can sail it right into this villager breeder, fill things back in, and maybe a temporary block or even a fence gate right here. Villagers can't open fence gates. Then you can let the villager out of the boat. After you've got your first villager in here, get a second villager in here too somehow. One of these villagers needs to claim the farmer profession. If these villagers have been traded with before, it won't work. You need a farmer villager. If your villagers seem to be keeping their old jobs for a while, like you haven't traded with them or anything, try removing their workstation back at their old village if you didn't, or just be patient. Eventually, they should give up the old job. Once you have 2 villagers inside of this thing and one of those villagers is a farmer villager, you're ready to move on to the next step. Now we need to set up the whole bed thing. The villagers need to have beds if we want them to breed. To do this, place a trapdoor right here and then open it. This trapdoor is invisible to the villagers, but it's actually not invisible. You see, we can't walk through this trapdoor, so neither can the villagers. So place a trapdoor right there and make sure it's open. Then right here, dig out this block and place a trapdoor. Then actually open this trapdoor. Basically the same thing goes for the trapdoor down here that goes for this trapdoor up here. The villagers can't see it. They'll think they'll be able to move right across here. Next up, jump down into this hole right here and dig down a couple blocks. Place a water source and then continue digging too high off to wherever you really want your villagers to go. This thing should go at least a little bit of ways away. See, if you don't move your baby villagers at least a little bit of distance away from this thing, they may still try to claim the 3rd bed inside of the villager breeder, which will stop the villager breeder. To help move the villagers a little bit farther, once your water stream runs out, you could place a sign and a torch to keep things nice and safe, or if you wanted to, you could actually step things down. So dig down 1 block and then continue digging, and then the villagers will be able to keep moving. If you have to turn a corner, here's how I recommend you do it. Place the sign down right there before the bend, then place another water source right there. Then turn the corner, just like that. If you check on this thing later on and find a villager standing around in here, really it just comes down to patience. Usually the villagers will pathfind into the next water stream, and once they've done that, there's no going back. They can't swim against the current. Alternatively, if you don't like the whole water stream thing, you could definitely do something else. Maybe like a rail line. That would definitely work too. The big important part here is that you have a way to move your baby villagers away from the villager breeder once they're born. Now, there's actually only 2 steps left inside of this farm. To get back inside of the thing, close the trapdoor, open this trapdoor quickly, get inside, and then close it. Then grab your crops and plant them everywhere on the ground. And if you wanted to, if you had extra crops, you could throw 12 to each villager right now. After you've planted all of your crops, maybe handed your villagers some food already, get outside of the thing. Same thing. Open the trapdoor, close the trapdoor, then make sure you open this one back up. Finally, the final step of this farm, bed right here, and then 1 more bed right there. If the villagers have successfully claimed the beds, you'll see green particle effects. And now it's really just a waiting game. Eventually, your villagers will have collected enough food to be able to breed, and then, once they feel like it, they'll breed. A baby villager will be born. Baby villagers like to jump on beds, so they'll try and go over to the beds. Baby villagers are also immensely short. They'll be able to fit underneath these trap doors. But then when the baby villager tries to walk over to the bed, it'll fall down into the floor and be moved away from the breeder. And so, there you go. That is a working villager breeder on Bedrock 1.16, and actually on Java Edition 1.16 as well. Now, real quick, there is one big way to actually spice this farm up a little bit. Right now, this farm would be always running as long as it's loaded in. Maybe you didn't want that. Well, if you have access to a sticky piston, you can actually easily make this farm turn off and turn on. To do that, go back over to the trapdoor side of your farm and remove the bed that's closest to the trapdoor. So this one right here. Move it over to the other side or just somewhere else. Keep it close to the spot though. Then grab a sticky piston and place it right here on either side, then a block right on top of that sticky piston. Finally, what you're going to want to do, just place a lever on the back of your sticky piston. Hit the lever, the block is moved forward. The villagers can no longer access the beds, and then they know that, so they won't be able to breed. This simple addition right here is so nice. It makes your villager breeder actually turn on and turn offable. Pretty cool. But that'll be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, if the tutorial helped you out, do me a huge favor. It's hugely appreciated. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. On the end card, I'll leave my tutorial playlist. I've been back in tutorial mode, making more tutorials. Definitely check them out. Today, I'd like to send a big thank you to my patrons, the Camel88 and Mr. PD Watch. Thank you so much for the support. Until next time, stay fresh, elites. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.